Since design is an integrated discipline, it may show different properties. In different aspects, it will show different characteristics. So let's talk about several different properties of design from several perspectives. First of all, design should be aesthetic, because we say that the first visual impression of a design is very important. We often have some friends from various enterprises go to some international exhibitions, come back and say to me, "Mr. Wang, when our products are on display at international exhibitions, you will find that the gap between our products and foreign products is very obvious. Because foreign products have quality from the visual and overall image. And when we put our products out there, they just look and feel inferior." First of all, I think that this is because there is a certain gap in the visual things, that is, the aesthetics. Because for foreign products, there is a very large team behind it to be responsible for branding, packaging, and design. And some of our products in China, many of them are this product and that product. Their serialization, linkage, and the unity of the corporate brand are not good enough. So I think these are some aspects that domestic enterprises need to improve on, because we know that everyone has different aesthetic vision. Maybe there are some things that others think are beautiful, but you don't think so. At this time, who are we designers designing for, and whose aesthetics are we catering to? So it is necessary to study the aesthetic trends of the users and take into account the aesthetic trends of the market. Therefore, the beauty of design should also consider design psychology, shape, color, and other factors. For example, let's look at this picture. This picture is very interesting. It's a bedding design. But the bed sheet is designed to be a color like a beach. So the quilt cover is made in the shape of a wave. When you lie on such a bed, you feel like you are sleeping on the beach, and you can hear the sound of the waves. Enabling you to fall asleep with such a feeling seems to give you a better sense of pleasure, which is the direct impact of the aesthetics of design. The second point is about the functionality of design. In order to meet our needs, the design needs to consider how to realize its functions. It's interesting to see this picture. It is a pair of chopsticks placed on a bowl, and an egg is placed on the chopsticks. So the question is, why does the egg grow into such a shape? Why is the egg pointier on one end and round on the other? Has everyone thought about this? What good does it do to grow into this shape? What kind of requirements does it have in function? First of all, students who learn structure may say, "Teacher, I think this shape is easier to withstand pressure and more resistant to external pressure. So the egg will be more resistant to external pressure, stronger, and less likely to break." Maybe that's one reason, but what else? Some students may say, "Teacher, I get it. The biggest advantage of eggs of this shape is that they are easier to be laid. Because one end is big and one end is small. It must be the big end comes out of the chicken's body first, and then slowly the small end comes out. So this shape makes it easier for chickens to lay eggs." In addition, are there any other functional requirements? Use your head, everyone. In fact, such a shape has other benefits in nature. We know that a long time ago, when chickens were still a kind of pheasant, they didn't pick a relatively suitable level to lay their eggs in the wild. They could have been inside a mountain and just laid their eggs at any place. At this point, if the egg lays like a ping pong ball, what will happen in the end? The egg will roll anywhere after it is laid. But will an egg in this shape now roll? It will roll, but what is its advantage? It's big on one end and small on the other, so it rolls around and comes back and goes back to square one, and it doesn't roll too far. So that's the other advantage of this shape of the egg. Of course, the egg has not been specially designed. No one designed it. Who is its designer? It is nature. That is to say, nature, while creating such a shape, has actually endowed it with rationality. Therefore, we believe that for the functionality of the design, more consideration should be given to its function, and more consideration should be given to its rationality and reliability. We say to study design, in addition to learning some performance courses, including design drawing, design sketching, and so on, we also need to learn some engineering courses, such as engineering drawing, the foundations of engineering, and material technology. These courses ensure that the designer has the utmost consideration for function and functionality. This means that the designer must have a good understanding of the function and, in the process, work closely with the engineer. This means that design is not something that can be done by one person, but by a complete team that can ensure that the design task is carried out. The third property we want to talk about is commerciality. Who does the design? The end goal of the design is to go to the market, to be bought in the market. So your design has to think about how to create more economic value. A lot of designs are like this. So we say that the enterprise invites you to make a design for it, and this design should get corresponding rewards. In what way does this reward come from? The test comes through the market, and your market success can only prove that your design is good. The picture we see here is a very classic design produced by the Elisi company in Italy. Before this work came out, there was a story. The designer was a Frenchman named Philippe Starck, who had already made a name for himself in the late 1980s and the early 1990s, and was a very well-known designer. Elisi found him hoping that Philippe Starck would design a kitchen appliance specifically for Elisi. Philippe Starck kept stalling, kept jumping tickets, kept putting off the draft for a long time. Finally, Elisi's president called him personally and said, "Isn't it time to turn in your design? What I want is a set of cutlery with plates, bowls, or something." But what Philippe Starck eventually handed over was something like this. This thing is called the Juicy Salif. It's shaped to look like an alien creature with a pointy head and 3 relatively long legs, which makes it look weird. It can easily become a focal point of the kitchen and seems a bit out of place with the rest of the kitchen supplies. Elisi, with half belief, produced this product, but it has become the best-selling product in Elisi's history. And it costs dozens of times more than a regular juicer. When I was at the Shanghai World Expo, I once saw a reduced version of Elisi's Juicy Salif on display in the Italian pavilion. At that time, its price was more than 1,000 yuan. There is no electric motor, no need for electric motor, and no external force. The method is very simple. Take the orange in half, twist the orange slightly on it, and the juice will flow down the groove into the cup underneath. It is such a simple design, but after more than 20 years of market tests, it is still popular in the market. This kind of design is what the company is willing to see and welcome. In addition, the fourth point we will talk about is that the most important property of design should be human engineering, because the design is ultimately for people. People's needs need to be considered, and people's needs are the most important starting point for design. What we see in this picture is, in 2005, a washing machine developed by Panasonic. It is different from the ordinary drum washing machine. We know that the ordinary drum washing machine has its door open on the side. So when we pick up and place our clothes, we need to squat a little, then open the door and put the clothes in or take them out. We know that such a movement is not a problem for normal people. But some people, when doing such movements, will have certain risks. For example, pregnant women, when the months are long and their bellies are relatively large, if they do this movement, it will press on their abdomens. There are also some people, such as the elderly, because when the elderly squat for a long time and then get up, it is easy to cause insufficient blood supply to the brain, causing some danger. Therefore, this Panasonic washing machine makes a bold improvement, tilting the angle of the drum by 30 degrees, so that it can open the door above the side. When we use it, we can open the door in a standing position, put the clothes in, or take them out. This design has solved a series of problems caused by the inconvenience of squatting that we mentioned earlier. It is based on the needs of people to solve the problem. There are some needs that we designers need to discover, to find in our life, and then to find inspirations in them. Here's an example of a tent design that won the IDEA Award in the US. Tents play a very important role in everyday American life. A child joins the Boy Scouts as a teenager and then learns a very important skill in the Scouts, how to pitch a tent and how to make that tent stronger. And sometimes it takes several people to get it up. And this tent can take half an hour to put up. So what kind of tent is a good tent? That is, the time is short, which can make pitching a tent so easy that no training is needed to get the tent set up. Then the best tent should be one that can be pitched in as little time as possible. Therefore, the designer of this tent named it 2 seconds. Just unbuckle this tent and throw it into the air. When it falls out of the air, it naturally becomes an open tent, solving the problem that it is more tedious and troublesome to set up a tent before. I think it's a design that can really meet people's needs. The last design shown to you is a water storage unit, designed for the needs of some remote tribes in Africa who need to fetch water. We know that there are many tribes in Africa who have to travel a long way to get water. And then they usually like to put things like water basins, water tanks over their heads. So is there an easier way to solve this problem? The designer cleverly used waste tires to make this water storage device into a big wheel, which can be rolled on the ground. In this way, we can reduce our labor burden. In addition, it is very thoughtful. There is a tap on the side of the water storage device, which means that when you come home, you can just unscrew the tap and access the water inside the device. I think this kind of design can reflect the humanistic care of design and reflect a universal value of design, so that we not only care for those around us through design, but also care for more people, so that the whole world can benefit and be benefited through such a design. The last question I want to leave you with is, look around you. What kind of design impresses you? What is good design? There are many such examples around us, but it requires you to discover them and seek them out. Wait until our next session, when I'll give you a special lesson on what good design is. Thank you all.